What's my what?
You're on.
If you can hear me, just do a thumbs up like this. And I know mine says Sean. We traded computers so that we could have this cool background because mine won't do it.
This is who's on right now.
I can see.
This is what they see.
Unless I click to gallery too.
Mm-hmm. There's 16 people on right now. And only your mic is on.
1 minute to go. We're going to get an echo.
Just say something to test the mic. Say test, test.
Oh, we're testing the mic again because we have an echo because we have two computers next to each other.
That's just the delay. It's not the echo.
Oh. Okay.
You're up to 17 participants.
Just start.
It's up to you. There's 17 participants.
Okay, I'm gonna wait till it says 7:01 and then we'll start.
A lot of people probably trying to log on at 7 and click.
Trying to figure it out.
Do it.
Okay.
The camera, if you want to load.
Okay, we'll go ahead and start. Welcome to our travel meeting. I don't love Zoom. You probably don't love it either. It just feels really funny to talk like this and not get instant feedback. So if you have a question, you can unmute and ask your question. Can you unmute yourselves? I guess I should
Yes.
ask that.
They can.
Yeah, Lindsay just did it. I saw you do that. Okay, that was great. Or you can send it in. You can type in the question up on the chat and we'll see it there. Sean's sitting right next to me. And so if I keep looking over there, I'm looking at him as we talk through things. Really, everything we talk about is probably on this paper, but we'll go through everything that's on there, and then if you have questions beyond that, let's talk about those. First, I just want to say, why do we travel? We feel pretty strongly about traveling, especially if you are living in small town Idaho. We feel like you need to see what the real world is like. And we love living here and we love raising our family here, but we feel really strongly of how important it is to get out and see the world. And one, it gives appreciation for where we live. Two, it gives us a sense that there are good people everywhere around the world. And that's one of my favorite parts, is to meet people around the world. And three, I love that it broadens our scope of history and culture more than we have in Rexburg. In Rexburg, our most exciting building is the Tabernacle, because it's over 100 years old. And so when we go to a castle or a cathedral that was started in 900 and refurbished in 14 and then updated in 1800, it just really broadens our scope of how far back history really goes. We switched to a 4-year rotation on our last tour, which is now really interesting looking back, because we would have been planning to go this summer, 2020, on this Europe trip if we hadn't extended to a 4-year rotation. So sometimes you think, well, that's interesting, isn't it, that we didn't end up planning our tour for this year, which would have been canceled. So we're grateful for that our tour is next year and we don't have to change any plans. So those who have kids that will be in 9th grade next year, there'll be that one age group that will have an overlap of the tour rotation, that they could go after their 9th grade year, or the next tour would then be after their 12th grade year. So they'd have the opportunity to go this one or next one, or both, if they so choose to do both. It's a lot of money, but they're the one group that will overlap. We try and make it so that each dancer has the opportunity to go once during their high school years, if they choose to go on the tour. We go to Europe, not to other places in the world, because we feel like we have a really shared history with Europe, especially with England, the United Kingdom. We have a shared history there. And it's the place where there are more English speakers, tourist-wise, than anywhere else in the world. So it's very friendly to an English-speaking group to go to Europe. Well, especially England, obviously, but the other places that we go, there'll be a lot of English speakers. So that's just a bonus to make it easier for our group to travel in those countries rather than going to other places. We would love to go to Central and South America. That's where we both have background and have traveled quite a bit, but there are just not as much English speakers, and we just don't have as much of a common shared history with those countries. Okay, so what do we do when we go on a dance tour? The reason we go is dancing, and we dance, but not a ton. We don't dance a ton on the tour. We dance a little bit and tour a lot. This is like a tour buffet, and we try and hit the highlights of each place that we go. We don't stay in one place for a whole week. I kind of try and hit those highlights, because you could spend months there to see everything. So we just do a little bit and kind of get a taste. It's really a taster's table of Europe to go. Our main performance will be a festival in Prague and in the Czech Republic, and it's a 2-day. It's a 2-performance festival, 2 evenings. Now, one of the real challenges right now is that we don't have a lot of specific details that we can give you, not even dates, because they haven't posted 2021 dates. And we often look at dates for what they did this year to plan our calendar for next year, but this year's dates are all changed. They've all been postponed to later months. And so even the Prague Festival, the one that we hope to attend, has now been moved into September for this year. So we can't even get an idea of when they are. Normally, they're kind of the same weekend year to year. We started following, we became affiliated with this festival 5 years ago, and it's been on about the same weekend, but it has changed to the weekend before or the weekend after. So we don't know for sure. The other thing is this festival's always been a Friday and Saturday performance festival. However, the dates they have posted for this year, 2020, are a Saturday, Sunday performance. And so that's something we'll inquire about, but we won't know until they set their calendar for next year. They usually don't post their dates until starting in October. And we build our tour around the Prague Festival. So as soon as we have those dates, then we will expand out from that festival weekend and decide how much we can put before and after that festival. We would love to do a second festival. There is a festival in Budapest, Hungary. In the past several years, it's been the week and either right after or right before the Prague Festival. So depending on when that festival gets scheduled, then we'll know if we're able to fit in that Budapest festival, because we would love to do that one as well. But it all depends on the scheduling of these festivals. We will hit the other highlights that we will do, and our previous tour, we flew into Paris and then traveled to Prague and then Munich and Salzburg, and then flew to Manchester, England, and did Preston, and then we finished in London. We don't know if that will be the same order again for this tour or not. We will probably do all those same places, but it might not be in the same order. Our ground transportation is on bus. Last time we had 2 charter buses. Our group was right at 100 people, just a little bit over 108. And we could fit snugly on 2 buses. So that's kind of an optimal size, is about 100 people. That's kind of average. We have a lot of family that goes with our dancers. Our group's usually half dancers and then half family. And we have parents, grandparents, we've had cousins, friends, uncles, aunts, siblings. So if you are in a position to go with your dancer, we recommend that you go to have this shared experience together. It's just something that if they go alone, they can come home and tell you all about it and show you the pictures. But if you're able to go together, it just creates a richer experience that you can then share for the rest of your lives. We love talking about memories of places that we've been together. If you can't go, that is super great too, because your dancer will have an awesome experience. But some of you will be in a position you can go, your schedule allows it, and others not, and we understand that. We just want everyone to know that they're welcome, more than welcome to come on the thing. So we're gonna go to the frequently asked questions. Oh, I don't know how that shows up on my thing. Frequently asked questions on the back, and we'll just look through those. So I think I already talked to him, but this will give me an order to go in. Can parents go? Yes. When's the trip? Practices for the dancers, we usually start immediately after the concert. Now, concert on a normal year is the second weekend of May. And so it gives us May, June, and part of July to practice. Last year, or the last time that we went on this, May was so busy for the dancers that we ended up not having any practices in May, because there was just not a time that all the dancers had free at the same time. So we waited and started our rehearsals in June. And it depends on how many dancers we end up having, of how many sub teams we split into. Last time we split our dancers into three teams. And then, so they each learned routines separately, and then we had one giant combined routine with all the dancers in it. We need to prepare 20 to 30 minutes of material for the festival shows. And so it just depends on how many dancers we have, how many teams end up going, of how many and routines dancers would need to learn. We had to share boys last time, like we always do. We ended up with almost equal girls and boys, but we had a few extra boys, and so they did one more routine so that the girls could all have the same number of routines to dance in. When do we go? We talked about that. How much does it cost? This is always the bottom line question, and this is a real ballpark number. We've learned that every tour we go on in these 3-year rotations, it goes up about $300 from the previous year. And so our previous year was $3,500, $3,450 about. And so $3,700 is kind of our ballpark if we follow that pattern of going up $300. Everything's an unknown right now of the cost. We can't look up costs of next July because they're not posted. They only post 9 months out on airfare. And we can't even look up this year cost for July because costs are not their normal rates right now. We hope to get a great rate. And some years we've gotten a great group rate and some years we have not gotten a group rate. And it's just kind of luck, kind of a lottery of what kind of group rate we will get. If you have Sky Miles or points or something that you would like to use to fly, you are welcome to use that and book your own airfare, because you can find rates that will be lower than what we get for our group airfare. Sometimes there will be a flash sale that you can get.
They need to be on our flight.
Yeah, we would tell you the flight information that the group is on, and then you can book on your own flight. But having said that, also, we have had many families over the years that have either gone before us and then met us or stayed after and done additional touring. What?
Go ahead.
They have. We'll talk about that later. So because getting there, it's oftentimes it's half of the cost is the flight sometimes. It's a lot. So we think if you're already there, if you've got the time, then head over to Ireland or head to Scotland or Spain or Italy.
Can I say something?
Oh, Sean's trying to butt in. I'm going to let him butt in.
I'm butting in. Just so some of you that have traveled or done things, most of these things she's talking about are after, not before.
That's true.
And we've had some families that have tried to fly the really cheap stuff, and you go through Ireland and you go on the cheapo air flights, and they've gotten left because there's only one flight a day, and if something happens with the plane, you're now stuck in Ireland or you're stuck in Germany and you can't get to where you're going. So when she's saying things, they've all flown on the flight with us. But if you want to stay another week, we can arrange that, or we can work around that and make those things happen. Or you can maybe find a cheaper flight out of Rome or something and stay another week. You can do that. But leaving, the vast majority have 99% have flown with us on that flight. Okay. So
You're unmuted.
I will PS that also, but last time we had families that did find their own flights that arrived the same day, but they weren't on the same flight with us. And I'll give you an example. Our group flight last time was $1,200, and we had some families that found flights for $850. And so they flew on that flight. It was not the same flight that we were on, and they arrived the same day, and they got themselves to the hotel in a taxi from the airport. So if you're comfortable doing that, you're welcome to do that. We will do the best we can to find the absolute best rate. We do a lot of negotiating and trying to get the best rates. We have, since we've done so many travel groups, we have registered as travel agents, and we have an IATA number, which gives us some help in planning the trips. Some places it's an advantage and some places it's not. We do a lot of different things, but the airfare for sure, we do group travel, which gives us flexibility. It lets us pay a deposit and reserve our flights, and we don't have to pay the entire amount up front when we book. So otherwise we'd have to ask for that whole airfare amount when we booked. If you book your own flights, then you can take care of that. But once flights open, we can start looking. They won't be opened to look for until the fall, until like September is when we'll start being able to look ahead that far to see what the airfare will be. Okay, and what's our next thing? Oh, still on the prices. The only thing that we pay for in US dollars are the flights. Everything else that we pay for will be in European currency, in the euros or in the British sterling pound. So we'll ask you now, start praying for those rates to stay low. Right now, the exchange rate is very favorable. It's lower now than in all of our years of travel, almost by half in some years. So that means everything that we do is less expensive than it could be if the exchange rate goes up. So that's impossible to predict if it will go up. It's been low for a couple years now, which is a good sign, but impossible to know what will happen that would cause that exchange rate to shift. So everything is dependent on that exchange rate. The hotels, the group entry fees to any site that we go to, all of the meals, it's all dependent on the exchange rate of how much our final thing will be, final cost. The cost of the tour covers everything except your lunch and dinner meals, and then of course any personal spending that you do. We'll cover any sites that we go into as a group. It covers the festival fees for the dancers, all of the hotels, and we have a couple times that will be a free day. On a free day, you can choose to do other things that then wouldn't be covered by what we've paid for as a group. When we're in London, we'll go to one musical as a group. And then we have 2 other nights that you can choose to go to musicals, or you can choose to do other things in London. Those are free evenings and you can choose. We often offer, like we'll go to Wicked all together. That's just our standard. That's what we go to all together. If you've seen that a dozen times and you don't want to see it again, we'll make arrangements about that. And then we'll recommend some other ones that we think are family friendly or group friendly. And if we have enough, we'll get a group rate for those, for whoever wants to go to those. Or you can choose to go to a discount ticket window and buy tickets to another musical that you'd like to go to. I thought you were going to say something. Okay. Any questions on the cost while we're on that? All right. When do we have to decide? We would like a commitment by October 1st. It's not quite 6 months away. That lets us know what our group size to start negotiating for airfare and for group hotel rates. It's a large group, and so the sooner that we can book, the better chances we have of getting a good rate. Some years we've waited too long and waited till after the first of the year, and then we're really limited on flights, and then we can't get the best rates that we could have if we had done it just a couple months earlier. So this is, I know you've probably already been talking about it. You still have a few more months to talk about it. We know it's a lot of money. We realize that this is a large chunk of money, and it's an investment, and it's something you have to say, are we going to spend this much money to have this experience? So we hope that you'll have time to talk about that and really thoroughly discuss it, or mow 1,000 lawns, or whatever you're going to do to earn that money. Number 9, passport. Everyone, of course, will have to have a passport. Anyone age 16 and up will need an adult passport, and those are good for 10 years. And anyone under the age of 16 will get a youth passport. Those are good for 5 years. Now, you need to really have a heads up. If you already have a passport, you need to make sure that the expiration date is at least 9 months out from our dates of travel. We arrived at the airport last time, and one of the father's passports expired in
60 days or something.
60 days, so he thought he was good, but one country that we were traveling to required a 6-month expiry on the passport. He was not allowed to board the plane with us. He had to fly to Seattle, get an expedited passport, and then he flew to Paris and met us there. It took 3 days to get all that taken care of. So if you have a passport, we just want you to all have a heads up that the date can't be just a couple months after we go. It has to be well out. And we'll remind you of that, but I just want now you to get that in your minds.
We need the passport number long before we leave.
Oh yeah, and we will collect, we'll have each of you send us a copy of your inner page of the passport with all the information. We'll keep a master copy of that with us all the time for any cases. No one's ever lost a passport on one of our trips, except on a BYUI trip. The other adult woman leader
She
lost.
found it though.
She found it at the airport, but we had some moments of panic.
We need it for
Meals,
flights.
number 10. Minimum of $15 a day, and that is not eating much. That's like a fast food meal will be $8 to $10. So you could maybe get by on 2 fast food meals for about $15. $20 is safer, and $25 you could eat at a restaurant for a meal. So that's that, because that really adds up as well. To pay for things, using cards has made it so easy. In the olden days, you know, when there were traveler's checks and cash, and that was a super pain, but now everyone will take a card, and it just automatically does the exchange rate. Look into your cards and see what the policies are, because some cards charge a foreign transaction fee and some do not. So you'll want to find that out, because if you're going to use your card 4 or 5 times a day, you would get a fee for every time you use that card. So that's something you want to inquire about, which card would be the best for you to use. Try to find one that doesn't have a foreign transaction fee. Hoteling, we'll stay in many different hotels. Every city we're in a different hotel, and they're all different. It's not like here that we'll be in a Marriott that they're all kind of the same. They're all different configurations. And so we'll work with each one of you and find out how you want to stay in a hotel. Like if a mom and dad are going and they want their own room and their dancer to stay with other dancers, we'll do that. Moms and daughters, we'll put you with other moms and daughters kind of arrangements. And it changes. Some places, the hotel in Munich is kind of a,
Great.
it's great, but it has all different kinds of rooms. It has 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, and I think it had an 8 room that you can put. So we do all kinds of variations. The hotel in Paris is all just 2s, so it's 2s only. If there are 3 of you in a family, we had to figure that out a few places if there are 3 of you, but we can figure those things out. All right, those are all of our questions. Performances, I'm flipping back to the first page. Performances, Prague is the festival, and we also hope to, again, be able to meet with members of the Church of Jesus Christ there and do a small performance or activity with them. The same thing in Munich, we'll perform in their Old Town Plaza. They just kind of have an open air area where we can perform kind of like a street performance. But also they have an English-speaking ward, and last time we were able to meet with that ward on Sunday for church services, and then we had a family activity with them, and we performed and then did a workshop, a dance workshop. In Manchester, England, or in Preston, we had a youth activity there that we played games and did get to know you activities, and we did a performance for them there. So those are the kind of performances that we hope to do along with the festival performances. Those sometimes are even more meaningful kind of performances, and they built a lot of strong relationships and connections in those. We hope to add a Paris performance experience this time. We have some great ties to France this time and some good resources. So we hope to add a performance or an experience in Paris this time. Okay, a question that we got was about travel insurance. Travel insurance will be, we'll look into the different options of travel insurance. When we book as a group with the airlines, there's an automatic insurance included in that. And then the other things with group hotel, we will just look into the different policies of hotels. Some allow cancellation when it's a group booking, that there will be a full refund. So we will, each group expenditure will look into the insurance specifics of each group booking of that, because they will all be a little bit different. Oh, 3, sorry, I didn't see that until just now. So that's about insurance, and we'll give you more specific details on that. Question, is the parents' price the same price as the dancers? Yes, yes and no. The travel price for the trip is the same cost. What the dancers will pay an additional fee, which will cover their rehearsals and costuming. And last time that was $75. Now, I didn't put that on this paper, so I'm glad you asked that question. So the dancers paid an additional $75, which covered their rehearsals in the summer and the costuming fees. And that was the only difference in the cost. The festival fees, these types of festivals, they call it an entry fee, but when I inquired about, well, then we have all these parents and dancers, and they said it's all the same fee. It covers the hotel, it covers some evening meals, and it's the same for participants or for guests. The family members were called guests, and that was the same price. And it's actually a better rate than we could get at hotels, so it's a pretty good deal to do the festival fee for everybody.
And that's included.
And that is included in the price. That's why it's all the same price. And then the trip lasts 3 weeks. That is our guesstimate. Last time our trip was 17 days. Was it 17 or 19? It was 17 days. So it was a few days short of 3 weeks. And so if we follow exactly the same itinerary and we do not do Budapest, it would probably be the same 17 days. If we add Budapest, that would add those 3 days. And so we would be right at probably the 3-week mark. And that's to be determined if we are able to do that festival or not, which would add 3 days to our previous itinerary. Okay, any other questions? Comments? Oh, Sean just said that to say, it says we leave on, what we like to do is leave on a Sunday because it's an overnight flight with a time change. If we leave on a Sunday afternoon, evening, we would arrive Monday morning there.
July 18th.
July 18th. So leave on a Sunday, arrive Monday morning. It's an 8-hour time change to continental Europe and a 7-hour time change to England. I don't have my glasses on. I'm going to get really close to see this. For the free evenings, is anything restricted? Parker, what do you mean by restricted? Your activities would need to be parent approved by either an actual parent or your foster parent. So any dancers traveling without their real parents, without their parents, will be assigned to foster parents. And we split our group into tribes. If we have about 100 people, we're just going to use that as our average. We split into 4 groups of 25, and we just call them tribes. And it's so that when we gather, we don't have to gather all 100 people in one place. We can gather, and I can look at each tribe leader, and they say, we're here. And so I only need to get a roll call from 4 people and not 100 people to know that we're all there. And in some places, museums and other sites, a 100-person group is too large. And so we have to schedule 4 different groups for kind of, a staggered entry time. So you'll be assigned to a tribe, and any dancers without parents will be assigned to parents that you check in and out with. You don't have to be with them all the time, but those parents will know always where the dancers are. You can say, we're going across the street to Burger King, and they'll say, okay, or something like that. Does that answer your question, Parker? Can a family member come for only 2 weeks? Yes, we have had some family members that weren't able to come for the whole time, and so we just worked out what they would be there for and worked out the cost of the things that they would be doing with the group. If their airfare's itinerary different, their airfare plans are different from our group, then we just have them, or you book your own airfare, and then we just work out what the travel cost would be for the time and the events that you would be there with us for. In the evenings, there aren't a lot of free evenings. I'm just going to go back to Parker's question. Not a lot of free evenings. We run you pretty ragged. Is there anyone who's been here with us before? Is anyone need returners? Maybe everybody's new.
That's why they're not cool.
We go we go full speed ahead on this tour. It's very exhausting. So you need to remember this is a tour and not a vacation. You'll need to come home and rest because we try and get the most bang for the buck for you for paying for this and get as much into a day as you can. You'll do a lot of walking and it's pretty tiring. And some parents have chosen to not do a daily outing. Like, I'm just going to stay in the hotel today. And that's good. We're okay if you rest up. Grandparents that have come with us, they often do not do everything we do. It's just too much. And so they say, we'll take an Uber and we will meet you at this place at this time, but we're not going to do all 15 things that you have planned today. And that's totally okay too, that they can write their own schedules.
Lunch is not 2 hours.
We don't take a 2-hour break for lunch. In fact, we do now remember that you need to eat lunch. Our first few, we would keep going, and then someone would say, are we eating lunch? And we're like, oh, lunch. So we try and plan in lunch now, but it's not long and leisurely. We just want to get a lot done and see a lot and do a lot, and you can come home and rest. Oh, Parker, did you see that? We have a connection to the best disco spots in Paris. Perfect. We may all be joining you.
Great.
Okay, that's kind of in a nutshell. If you have other specific questions, you're welcome to email me or text me if you want to talk about anything else. I will just say this is a powerful experience. And we have a lot of testimonials from people that have gone that, I'm not going to say life-changing, but empowering. I'll call it something empowering to go and do. For someone from Rexburg, Idaho, a youth from Rexburg, Idaho that's never been on public transportation, to be able to navigate a subway in Munich or in England or in Paris, that's empowering. To be able to go in to a fast food place where you don't speak the language and order, even if it's from someone in English, in their English, that's empowering. One powerful moment for me is in Munich, we go to Dachau, which is a constant, oh, sorry, I thought I was going to do this whole thing without crying. A concentration camp. And, you know, we've all read about it and seen movies, but to be there in Dachau, it's very sacred and humbling. And you do come away from that changed, because it becomes much more real to even just be there and see that it was real. And so those kind of things are priorities for me, to have powerful experiences, to expand our view of history, to make connections with people that are there, and to come home with a great appreciation for what we have and for what the world has. And we do a little bit of dancing along the way. And so that makes it the best of everything. So I'll let you go. It'll not too long, but thanks for tuning in, and any other questions, send them in, and we'll broadcast them to everybody if it's something that would be of general interest to everybody. We hope you can all go. One of our favorite parts is just the relationships that we make with you parents that go, or adults that go, because we get to know you really well. And there's a special bond that we're able to create when we go together and have these experiences together. We've missed all your kids. It's less than a week till we start back up, and we're very excited about that to get going again. We hope you're all well, and see you all next week, dancer people. So yeah.